Hey Joe, what's happening, man? Welcome.
Hey, good man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, no worries. Everybody, this is Joe Rare. He is a six-figure per month agency owner in the wedding venue niche. Do I have that right?
Yep, that's it. That's it.
Yeah. And he's an association owner now in the wedding venue niche. And
That's right.
stoked to have him today on the call because he's got an amazing story. And I had to lay it down with him. I said, yo, man, let's get on a call. Got to share this with other folks. And so here we are. So
Yeah,
welcome, buddy.
it's about time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we waited too long on this one.
That's for sure.
So for those folks who are thinking about working with us, I just want to like kind of go back in time a little bit and see where you were when you and I first talked. So what
Okay.
before you started working with us, where were you at and what was going on in your life?
Yeah. So, oh man, to go back to the very beginning, like I found you through somebody who somehow like hacked your into getting a kind of a bootleg version of one of the courses you created a long time ago. And he says, hey, you got to listen to this guy. He has a very similar story to what you're going through right now. And yeah, I think you'll just like it. So I went on and I actually, used his login or something, checked out your stuff. I'm like, man, you're telling the same story I'm feeling. And so somehow I friended you on Facebook, harassed you long enough. And I don't know why, but you said, usually I charge for these calls, but I'll jump on the phone with you. So I remember we spent like about an hour on the phone or something. This has to be like late 2017 or somewhere around there. And you basically gave me your rundown, like, your agency closed it down, that whole thing. And then, started Fit Club and doing all that stuff. And you told me at the time you were doing about 50 grand a month in revenue, but you only had like 2 or 3 people on your team. And I was like, man, that sounds awesome. I have an agency that's doing, mid 7 figures. We're doing more than you were at the time. So I kind of had this like little ego thing going on, but I had 27 employees in the building. I had massive overhead. I was stressed out. I'm doing the hustle, the 15-hour a day hustle, and it's not getting me anywhere closer. And, like we've talked about before, that glass ceiling, like you just can't make more money with an agency like that without increasing the overhead. It just takes more people. And so what you said resonated. The problem was that I didn't do anything after that. So that was kind of our original, I don't know if you want to keep rolling on that, but that was our original conversation was, we were doing really good revenue, but I had, massive overhead and I wasn't making any money.
So what was the problem that we talked about specifically on that call? I know you remember this because you told me about it.
Absolutely. Doing everything for everyone. So who's your client? Well, anybody who's a small business was my answer. And what services do you provide? Well, we do everything from web development to social media marketing, advertising, Google ads, Facebook ads. We did video production. So I had $150,000 in equipment. We had multiple editors and videographers and like all these people are on salary. And we're doing cool work and it's fun. Well, it was fun for them, less fun for me. But yeah, that was it. We were doing everything for everyone. I mean, if somebody said like, "Hey, could you do this?" Yep. Let's figure out how to do it. And so that's where we were stuck, and it was slowly destroying me.
And you said something that I always remember is you were talking about the profit margins too, just getting thinner and thinner. And that was my exact experience with my agency that was built almost that same way, right?
Yeah.
But then you asked me a question about like, oh, should I niche down? Like, what should I do? And I remember telling you like, well, dude, what do you do when your clients call you? Like, and you were just kind of quiet. And I was like,
Yeah.
let me tell you something, man. If your clients call you like after hours or something and you're just like, send them to voicemail, like, this is something you got to fix. And
Yeah.
and then thankfully, like months later, you told me that really stuck with you because that was sort of like the drive for change, right?
That was really one of the big change. Like I knew that I was in trouble after that kind of dialogue. And I realized how many times I would kind of press that ignore button. Well, we joke and we side button people, right? Like on your phone, you side button them. And if you're doing that and you don't enjoy your clients, like you're doomed. And so we were doing a lot of revenue. We had a lot of people in the building. And I think just my own knowing that it was not the right path. I think I perpetuated like self-destruction and we ended up losing some key clients, which then kind of rolled me into this point where I'm taking on debt to pay payroll and do all these things. And next thing you know, we got a couple $100,000 in debt but nothing's changing, right? We're not selling more. We're not growing to get me back out of it. And so it was really a nasty cycle.
Yeah, man. Ugh, I hear you. Okay, so let's fast forward, and maybe you can tell us how many months there were in between if you remember. But
Yeah.
let's fast forward to when you joined the program and you started making some changes with us, with our help.
Yeah. Well, it really where it triggered was I think it was about 10 months. It was like a 10-month window or something. You and I didn't even really chat. And I just kind of followed you online. I'd see you a little bit, but then I saw an interview and I think you were doing it. I think it was with Sam Evans or something. And you'd mentioned you were doing 400 grand a month. So you went from 50 grand a month. And there was one thing that you said to me when we were on the phone that day. Oh, we're doing 50 grand a month, couple things, but we're going to take on about 200 employees clients this month. And I'm like, oh, this guy seems like a nice guy, but like, that's a little, right? Like that's kind of a lot. And I could not fathom how the hell you could do that and get to that level. And so then when I saw it and it'd been 10 months and I'm like, whatever he's doing, he did it right. So I remember I think I texted you and I just said, I just saw your interview. What the hell did you do? And I think the only thing you said back to me was like, you didn't listen to me, did you? And I was like, no. And I sure didn't. I didn't do it.
I don't remember that part, but that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I was just like, no, I didn't. But then, we ended up jumping on a call and decided to chat it out. And we talked about agency alchemy and what you were doing next. And you just said, look, man, you got to niche down. You got to choose, basically choose one type of client and do one thing really well for that one client. And I was kind of like, well, I don't know who to do it. And you said, go back to the idea. Like, if they call you and you don't want to pick up the phone, that's not who you work with. Who would you answer the call for if they called you? And I realized it was only one or two clients that I had, and both of them happened to be in the wedding industry. The other thing you said too was that, who pays you well? Who do you get the best results for? Like, you're really good at doing it for them specifically. And it was, my wedding venue partners. And so that's what I ended up choosing that niche. The next day, or maybe it was 2 days later, basically I fired everybody, had to lay everybody off, and started this downward, kind of wind down of all these things. And, I was able to sell off part of my client roster, which was nice because it gave me a little bit of cash. But, then it became like, I got to start paying off debt. I got to start, building cash flow back up. And so I went all in on the wedding industry.
Nice, man. And yeah, I think you're like, this is kind of a weird niche. And I was like, that's perfect, because I've never heard of anybody dominating that niche. And that means it's probably wide open for you. And thankfully you trusted your gut and you went for it, because now, so after that conversation, how much time passed between then and January when you had your first 6-figure month?
So that conversation happened last summer. So 2018 summer, like July-ish or something like that, June, July-ish. And we kind of had that conversation. I'm like, all right, so we let everybody go. And then it was a matter of trying to go, okay, how do I build this back up and what do I do? And so starting in August was when I kind of wound down everything else and I went, okay, it's all in. And at the time I had 4-ish full-time clients, 3.5, and we were doing less than $6,000 a month. And so from there, fast forward to January, that was when we kicked off and hit 100 grand.
Wow. Okay. And has it been good like that since too?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, we've had, of course, there's always the peaks and valleys. And so as we've just been kind of learning, we'll take a month and, maybe we didn't hit that 100 grand month in February. We didn't hit it even close. We were about, 20 or 30 grand short. But what we did is we improved processes. So then when March hit, it was actually funny because I was on vacation 3 times in March and we did 111 or 112 in that month. And then it's kind of been this steady. And then we just surpassed 160.
Wow. Congrats, man. That's amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, good deal. So now, and then let's talk about sort of some of the tangible stuff, because the money's great, right?
Sure.
But what is how has your life improved? Because I know that you're important, family's important to you, but talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's funny. I mean, you can look over here, you can see a little playhouse. We're back in my guest house. So we found this cool property and it had a cool guest house in it. So my kids made this into a play area. But what's been awesome is that we've, getting rid of all of the people. I don't need a 3,000 square foot office anymore. Right. And so now I've been negotiating ever since that moment. I've been negotiating, trying to get out of my lease, which I still had 3 years left, basically about $250,000 owed. And so I just got noticed last week, I think it was, that they agreed that they would start marketing to lease the building out and let me out. So that's been like a huge weight lift. So what I'm doing is slowly like kind of moving this, and this is kind of my office space right now. And so, but the biggest thing is like right after this call, I leave and I go pick up both of my girls. I take them to ballet. I was at every single practice for my daughter playing baseball for her first year at, 6 years old. I went to every game. Like I miss nothing. And I have more free time than I've ever had. We used to joke that like Chris, my wife and I, we never would sit and just watch something on TV together. Like we don't do TV for the most part anyway, but she loves Game of Thrones. And so we literally got to watch every single Game of Thrones episode together for the first time because I have all this free time now. And so the improvements that it's had are seriously exponential. I mean, that one thing, like my mind is so much more clear. I know that we only do one thing for one client type. Like I don't have a lot to think about. And here's the best part is like, I use a virtual assistant team that does most of it for me. And so now my only thing is like, make sure people are loving us still. And that's about my jam.
Yeah. So you figured out how to get exceptional results with less inputs. So your outputs went up for your client campaigns. But the inputs went down. So the amount of people you needed, the systems and processes were better.
I have 0 people in the US working with me. 0.
Wow.
So, which is awesome. And so, it's not for everybody, but I have no employees to worry about. I have nobody's, payroll here to worry about. I don't have to worry about all these crazy, weird, things that, go on in a business when you have a building and you have all this, all this overhead,
Yeah. That's incredible, man. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing all that. One last question. What would you say to somebody who's on the fence maybe about working with us or joining one of our programs?
Just do it. I mean, like it's funny because it's, the one thing that I'm learning is like the money's great. The money's fun. It's given us freedom. It's given us some cool stuff, but understanding the principles around what can get you there, it doesn't like you can, if you learn them one time, you can go replicate it multiple times in other areas. So now, you kind of mentioned, I'm an owner in an association now. So because I got into the wedding industry and I got really loud and people kind of figured out who I was and we were doing good work, I had somebody approach me and literally give me 50% of a profitable business, which is the only venue association in the world. It's the only one that exists. He gave me 50% of it because he saw what we could do, wanted us to do it for the organization to help it grow and impact more people. And so what's been really weird about all of that is all I did is take the exact same model. What do we do for our members? We do one thing. Our clients are one type of person, the members are one type of person. And it all I just keep using this over and over. And so, we have a VA, I have a virtual assistant business. That one, we narrowed it down. We do like 1 or 2 things for people and that's it. And so I keep reusing this over and over again. And so, if it's not for the one business that you're running now, you'll use it again and again and again. And I think that, the initial investment to get into Agency Alchemy, whatever that feels like to you, just know that you'll use this system, you'll use these processes, you'll use the scripts and everything that you get out of it. And you'll tweak it and you'll reuse it for the next 20, 30 years. Like I can just see it 20 years down the line going, the riches are in the niches, right? Niche down, do this. Oh, I have this idea. Okay, make it this big first, get really good at this. And I think that it's going to play out in my life over and over.
That's awesome, man. Well, simplicity wins, right? That's right. That's the key there. And to your credit, you've done an excellent job executing it. All this stuff is good and great, but if you don't go out there and execute on it, none of this happens. That's right. So, dude, again, congratulations. So stoked to hear about all your current success. And I'm sure you're going to have much, much more success in the future. So thanks for the time, Joe. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Thanks a ton.
All right, buddy. I'll see you in the group.
Yeah, you got it. See ya.